to the next point. We should ensure whatever we see is clear.
That means work is being done. We can see that it is in opposite direction.
Hello viewers and listeners at home. Welcome to yet another segment of the English language class on the e-learning program organized by the Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. We have treated a lot of topics, and the last topic we treated was vocabulary associated with agriculture. That was a rather wide topic, so today we are going to narrow it to a particular field of agriculture, which is fishing. So our topic for today is words associated with fishing. From the word fishing, I know what comes to your mind is the fried fish that mommy gives you at home, the dried fish you go to buy from the market, the fresh fish that is always being sold by the roadside, and sorts. Which means we are familiar, a bit familiar with what we are going to treat. That notwithstanding, we will try as much as possible to expose you to more words so that you will continue to learn the meaning of these words, you continue to use these words where applicable, and whenever you come across any comprehension passage, any article, or any discussion, you should be able to contribute positively to it. So, we will begin by trying to find the meaning of fishing. Like I said in our previous class, when we were talking about words associated with agriculture, this is an English language class. But today, we are treating fishing. Why is it so? Because we need to cut across different fields of human endeavor. We need to learn. We need to equip ourselves so that we'll be able to fit into any setting, anywhere, anytime. So, the meaning of fishing is very important to you out there. So come with me. Fishing is the act of harvesting fish. Sustainable, productive fishing and aquaculture improves food and nutrition security, increase income and improve livelihood, promote economic growth, and protect our environment and natural resources. All mentioned here in an attempt to find the meaning of fishing concerns us. Why? Because we all live in an environment. We all need good nutrition. We all need improved livelihood. We equally need to promote economic growth. So it concerns you. If you are not a fisherman, someone near you is a fisherman. So you will learn and try to help other people that are connected to you. We have a model passage on fishing titled, "What is Fishing?" This is more of an exposition because a lot of things that might be mentioned here are things that could appear not familiar to our learners out there. So pay close attention and ensure you pick a new word or a new phrase. Find the meaning and keep rolling in the language class. So fishing, also called angling, is the sport of catching fish, typically with a rod, line, and hook. Like hunting, fishing originated as a means of providing food for survival. In its most basic form, fishing is throwing out a fishing line and pulling in the fish when it goes for your fishing bait or fishing lures. It sounds so plain and simple. However, throughout the history of fishing, various fishing disciplines have emerged that target specific fishing conditions and species of fish. These fishing variations have their own unique fishing equipment, know-how, and technical skills. The type of water in which they are done, the kind of fish you want to catch, as well as the kind of fishing equipment used are also determinant of these fishing disciplines. Fishing is one of the most well-liked forms of recreation for some people. In fact, in the United States, it is secondary only to swimming as the most popular leisure activity. And in the UK, it is said there are more people that go fishing on Saturdays than go to football matches. People of all ages and both sexes get hooked up on fishing each year. They enjoy fishing many variations like fly fishing, bait fishing, and many other fishing disciplines. Fishing done from banks of rivers, lakes, ponds, streams and canals, or from the deck of a floating boat. You can fish alone, or better yet, with your family or a couple of friends for a nice bonding experience. Fishing as a hobby or leisure activity is done with fishing tackles, which include the fishing rod, fishing reel, fishing line, fishing hooks, and fishing lures or fishing bait. Each piece of equipment has its own features and characteristics and are designed based on different situations. Aside from knowing the equipment, there are so many categories, areas, specialties, and skills that you must know if you decide to go on this adventure. You can try to master them all, but you do not have to. It is a lot of work, and you will probably take almost half of your life in making yourself proficient on all there is to know about fishing. Now, that is the essay that we have on fishing. Very interesting essay. So, for us to round off, what is most important is that you have the ideas on the different aspects of fishing so that you'll be able to determine which style, which type, or which technique best suits you. There are different styles, different techniques of fishing. So, from that essay, you'll be able to know what style do you need, what technique or what type of fishing technique you need to use. To make your finding on vocabulary easy, you can develop a dictionary on the field of endeavor you are working on. So today, we are going to work on a fishing dictionary. And this dictionary will take it from letter A to the last letter of the English alphabet, which is Z. For example, a fishing dictionary can begin from the first letter to the last letter of the English language alphabet. That is letter A to Z, like I said. Although there are one or two of the letters where we may not find words on fishing appearing there. That notwithstanding, out of 26, we will have 24, at least 24 of these letters where there are fishing words or phrases which these letters represent. Now, we have letter A. We have the angling. And this is a method of fishing. For B, we have bag limit. Bag limit. And it's an old fishing line or string that is attached to a reel and padding to fill up the spool before attaching the new line. C, we have carp. Carp is a freshwater fish. A carp is a freshwater fish. And moving on to D, we have a dam. A dam here is a fishing tackle producer. Now, let me quickly say here that there are words that have more than two meanings in the English language. So someone might see a dam here and link it to another field of human endeavor. But I need you to understand that particularly these words we are using are strictly related to fishing. So when you get to another field, if the same words appear, you will discover that the meaning might be slightly different from how it's being used in the fishing context. So moving on to letter E, we have the eel, and that is a species of fish. F, fingerling. A fingerling is a young fish in its first or second year of life. A young fish in its first or second year of life is called a fingerling. G, gills. The gills are the fleshly and highly vascular organs comparable to lungs used in aquatic respiration. Human beings have lungs, but the fish have gills. It's the gills that they use in respiration. We have a hook. And it's a curved U-shaped section of strong wire shaped at one end and tied to fishing line. The other end either barbed or barbless for catching fish. I, inshore fishing. That's a phrase, inshore fishing. And this is fishing in a boat that is close to a shore. When you read about the rivers, the lakes, the seas, there's always a shore. So inshore fishing is fishing in a boat that is close to a shore. We have jig. Jig is a fishing lure that is jerked to attract the fish, normally used from a boat. K, we have the kilt, and it is a salmon that has spawned recently. A salmon is a kind of fish. We have L, larva, and it is the surface stage of development of an aquatic insect. The surface stage of development of an aquatic insect. M, we have milt. Milt is the secretion of a fish for reproduction. Secretion of a fish for reproduction. Then we move on to N. We have nets. A net is a mesh of string, cord, or rope. And a fishing net is a device made from such mesh used for fishing. We have O, overfish. And overfish means to fish in excess. When you make a big catch, you have an overfish. It means you have fished in excess. We have the poacher. It's a wire trap for catching salmon. Remember I said salmon is a kind of fish, and the wire trap you need for catching salmon is called a poacher. We have Q. We have the quill float. A quill float is a float made from the quill. R, we have reel, and it is an instrument that holds the fishing line used in conjunction with a rod. S, shoal, a group of fish swimming together. Most times when you watch your films, when you see them on video, you could see a group of fish moving together. When they move together, that's a shoal. T, we have a tackle, and that means any fishing equipment, whether it's a hook, whether it's a line, whether it's a bait, whether it's a net, all of them put together, you call them tackle. Like I said from the beginning, we don't have a word under U. Okay, we have V. V, we have vertebrate. And it's a creature that has a backbone. Any creature that has a backbone is called a vertebrate. And a fish is an example of that because it has a vertebrate. W, watercraft. A term for how an angler reads the water and conditioned to find a good location for catching. And that takes us to X. We don't have anything on the X. And we'll move on to Y. We have a yearling. And a yearling is a 1-year-old fish. A 1-year-old fish is a yearling. And finally, we are on letter Z, and we have a zender. Zender is a species of fish. So we'll move on. To sum up today's lesson, imagine I know nothing about fish, and I need to describe what happens when fish snaps at the bait to get hooked. Specifically, what does the hook do? What does it catch? Does it sit on itself? Does it embed itself? I am looking for a vivid, evocative description, not a dry technical representation. So, I am not aware of anything about fishing. So imagine I don't even know it, and you need to tell me something about it. What will you tell me? What does a hook do? Does it sit on itself? Is a hook a sweet that the fish will just take the sweet and just keep swimming in water? So what does it do? Just imagine it. You need to create awareness to me. Don't be technical. Just use the right words. Make your description flow. Remember when we were treating our descriptive essay, we talked about using sensory details. So when you are describing, you try as much as possible to touch every part of the human sense so that the person listening or the person reading would feel what you feel, see what you feel, hear what you hear, and also touch what you touch. when you're talking of smell, the person should equally smell what you smell. So that is what we have. Before we move on, let me remind you that we teach vocabulary associated to different fields of endeavor so that you'll be able to fit in every aspect of life. Like I said from the beginning, your comprehensions are there, your quizzes are there, all forms of activities in the language class, and even moving into the community, moving into the society, we are all there. So we'll just keep moving and we'll keep rolling. Also, what does a fisherman do to ensure the fish is hooked properly and won't jump off the hook? What does a fisherman do to ensure the fish is hooked properly and won't jump off the hook? What terms describe this action? So let's quickly go back to our passage from the beginning. Let's go back to the passage quickly. Now, we have our passage titled, What is Fishing? And we have some words that have been highlighted. So we begin by saying fishing, also called angling. Please take note of the word angling is a sport for catching fish. The word sport is used here. Why is it used? Is it because it's a kind of game that you go to the field and keep running, athletics, or you go to play handball or volleyball? Take note of it and do your findings. That is why you are a learner. The teacher will give an opening and you will fit into it and keep learning so you could discover and develop yourself accordingly. So, angling, which is known as fishing, is the sport of catching fish, typically with a rod, line, and hook. Now, take note of this because it will help you answer the question. Like hunting, fishing originated as a means of providing food for survival. So we have hunting, it's a way of getting food for survival, and fishing equally does the same. And in its most basic form, fishing is throwing out a fishing line and pulling in fish when it goes for your fishing bait. What is a fishing bait? What is a fishing lure? So check up these words in the dictionary so that it will enhance your understanding of this passage. Fishing bait or fishing lure. From the way it is used here, you would understand that you could use one in place of the other. So you either use a fishing bait or a fishing lure. It sounds so plain and simple. However, throughout the history of fishing, various fishing disciplines have emerged that target specific fishing conditions and species. These fishing variations have their own unique fishing equipment, know-how, and technical skills. The type of water in which they are done, the kind of fish you want to catch, as well as the kind of fishing equipment used are also determinants of these fishing disciplines. Fishing is one of the most well-liked forms of recreation for some people. Take note, for some people it is recreation. For some people it is a profession. So, in fact, in the United States, it is secondary only to swimming as the most popular leisure activity. And in the UK, it is said there are more people that go fishing on Saturdays than go to football match. In Nigeria, Saturdays are always for football. Check your communities, check the environment. The boys are always out there playing football instead of fishing. So we could adapt to fishing so that we'll improve our livelihood. People of all ages and both sexes get hooked up on fishing each year. They enjoy fishing many variations like fly fishing, bait fishing, and many other fishing disciplines. Fishing done on banks of rivers, lakes, ponds, streams, and canals, or from the deck of a floating boat. You can fish alone, or better yet, with your family or a couple of friends for a nice bonding experience. When you go with your family, it's fun going fishing with your family. When you are with friends, it's equally nice going with your friends. So it brings you together. It brings the people together. Fishing as a hobby or leisure activity is done with fishing tackles, which include the fishing rod, fishing reel, fishing line, fishing hooks, and fishing lures or fishing bait. Each piece of equipment has its own features and characteristics and are designed based on different situations. Aside from knowing the equipment, there are so many categories, areas, specialties, and skills that you must know if you decide to go on this adventure. You can try to master them all, but you do not have to. It is a lot of work and will probably take almost half of your life in making yourself proficient on all there is to know about fishing. So it's not a thing that you learn in a day. It's a continuous process. Learning continues. As long as you are alive, it continues, it keeps going on. So that is what life is all about. You learn, keep learning, and make yourself proficient. To round off, what is most important is that you have the ideas on the different aspects of fishing so that you'll be able to determine which style, type, or technique best suits you. To make your finding on vocabulary easy, you can develop a dictionary on the field of endeavor you are working on. And that is the example of the dictionary that I gave you, A to Z. It's very good if, as a learner, you learn to develop your vocabulary, arrange it alphabetically. At each point, you discover a particular word. Just check the alphabet where that word belongs and write it there. As you write it, try to get the meaning of such words. When you do so, it enhances learning. It gives you an upper hand. Where you meet your mates talking about that field of endeavor, you will equally have something positive to say. And that alone will earn you a lot of respect among your peers and others. So we have the example of the dictionary here, and it's from A to Z. So let's quickly move to our assignment. The assignment says, in one paragraph, give a vivid description of what the hook does in fishing. In other words, what does the hook do in fishing? So give a vivid description of what the hook does in fishing. Number 2, in another paragraph, use appropriate terms to describe what a fisherman does to ensure that the fish is hooked properly and won't jump off the hook. What does the fisherman do to ensure that the fish does not jump off the hook? So let me take the assignment again from number 1. In one paragraph, give a vivid description of what the hook does in fishing. In one paragraph, give a vivid description of what the hook does in fishing. Number 2, in another paragraph, use appropriate terms to describe what a fisherman does to ensure the fish is hooked properly and won't jump off the hook. Our reference is wikipedia.org.wiki.fishing. wikipedia.org.wiki.fishing. My name, as always, is Mercy Baintakude. My contact number is 080-250-25339. Mercy Baintakude, 080-250-25339. Until I come your way again, remember to stay safe and keep learning. It's goodbye.